Jenny will love me, it's all been foretold. Was not our nag to that blind parson sold? Jenny will love me, it's clear as the day. The heather bloomed early this spring on the brae. Jenny will love me, it's clear as a bell. Omens are plenty, the same story tell. Not without reason, her cat-collared white crossed over my path in the dark of the night. Jenny will love me, I'm sure of it now. Did she not smile when I gave her that cow? Soon we'll be one like two peas in a pod, envied by men but united by God. Jenny will love me, it's all been foretold. Was not our nag to that blind parson sold? Jenny will love me, it's clear as the day. The heather bloomed early this spring on the brae. Jenny will love me, it's clear as a bell. Omens are plenty, the same story tell. Not without reason, her cat-collared white crossed over my path in the dark of the night. Jenny will love me, I'm sure of it now. Did she not smile when I gave her that cow? Soon we'll be one like two peas in a pod, envied by men but united by God.
Jenny Will Love Me is one of Swami Kriyananda's more playful, even slightly silly songs, along the lines of the song Hawaiiana, whose words are just complete nonsense anyway, and also Dublin Town, that has a fun little story in it as well. But here, Jenny Will Love Me tells a story that doesn't in itself have any particular meaning or spiritual teaching, you might say, other than just the folly of naive hopelessness. Kriyananda, in fact, specifically said that this song doesn't have any particular outward spiritual message. As he writes in the album notes of the album Some of My Favorites, he says, "My purpose wasn't to write music so much as to convey, through music, intuitions of divine love and joy. Even the gayest song of this album, Jenny Will Love Me, which came to me, believe it or not, during meditation, about a lovesick swain whose own words make it clear that he doesn't stand much chance of winning the girl, and doesn't really deserve to win her, after cheating a blind parson by selling him an old nag, and as for his chances, what country girl wouldn't smile to receive the costly gift of a cow?" He continues, "Even this song has me grinning with delight every time I sing it. It pokes gentle fun at the superstition that looks for so-called signs and wonders at the expense of common sense. But, well, in the divine play, there's room aplenty for humor." Now, in a way, the lightness and humor of this song, poking gentle fun at behaviors and attitudes that we perhaps all fall into at one time or another, is very reminiscent of the stories of the author P.G. Wodehouse, which were a favorite of Kriyananda's, and I think would have a certain influence on songs like Jenny Will Love Me, because Kriyananda often observed that Wodehouse's genius was that he laughed not at people, but really with them as they recognize their own folly. And I think that's what we will see here with Jenny Will Love Me. Now the song begins in a very personal and human way in its total love, its total willingness to believe that one's love, however fanciful, is requited and evidenced by the signs and wonders around. As the first verse goes, Jenny will love me, it's all been foretold by the signs and wonders. Was not our nag to that blind parson sold? Jenny will love me, it's clear as the day. The heather bloomed early this spring on the brae. You know, when you're in love, deeply in love, as I'm sure many of us have been, you've probably experienced how that state of consciousness just makes everything around you beautiful. And then you tend to see what you want to see in the world. You see the signs everywhere that reinforce your joyful fancy. Now, of course, we have to remember that if that love is not requited, if it's disappointed in some way, then those same things eventually turn grim and sour. And that's really the part of the nature of reality, or of duality. Now, this experience of being in love is certainly centered in the heart chakra. And that love is, at least in this song, in this sense, positively and upwardly directed, even if, you know, we have the questionable act of selling an old nag to a blind parson. But it's the direction of that energy flowing upwards toward the fifth chakra, toward the throat here. In the second verse, then, that the story continues in seeing signs, and that changes sort of the perspective of things. We have Jenny will love me, it's clear as a bell. Omens aplenty the same story tell. Not without reason her cat-colored white crossed over my path in the dark of the night. You know, this continued willingness to see the evidence and the signs and the wonders in the world around you it's a kind of dreaminess, which is it's a quality of the throat chakra, but a negative, a potentially negative one flowing downwards. Which is to say that there's a point at which the positive quality of dreaming, and that can be expansive in the beginning, turns into nothing but wishful thinking if it's not followed up by practical action. And that's really that's what turns dream into a reality. So, you know, if you cast hope upon hope that, you know, there's a person to which you're attracted, and you're hoping beyond all hope that that person is also attracted to you, you might indulge in endless fantasies about the forming of a relationship there. But if you never actually approach the person and talk to them, then you'll really never know whether that love is requited or not. And I would have to say that, you know, for many people, the fantasy is more fulfilling than the reality, because you don't want to be disappointed. You don't want to find out that there's no love there, and you just live in your fantasy. But again, that turns more and more into wishful thinking and lets the energy of the heart drop, or the energy of the throat chakra drop down back into the heart, potentially into things like bitterness and even, potentially violent behavior. And what comes to mind here is the story of John Hinckley Jr., who, if you were around in the early 1980s, attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan in order to get the attention of the actress Jodie Foster, to whom he'd been writing many notes and letters without getting any kind of a response. And for him, that wishful thinking turned negative and went much farther down into, like the base of the spine at the first chakra, deciding that an act of murder would be the right approach to express his love, which is, of course, deeply delusional. Now, but in any case, what we do have coming in the song next, and I want to play this little part back to you again. So after these first two verses, which brings the heart's energy up to the throat, and sort of is still dreamy there, we need to ground that dreaminess in something a little more practical to inspire action in some way. And that's the purpose of this little interlude that we have here, this instrumental interlude, which is played on a horn, which in the Mystic Harp albums and here as well on some of my favorites, is used to express the voice of the higher self. And in this case, the higher self is really giving pause to consider the options that are presented to us here. What do we do about this dreaminess? The melody is more relaxed, it's more thoughtful, and in a way it's asking, do you really believe in all these signs and wonders? those final four notes of those punctuated notes at the end of the melody, in a way, are a gentle reminder just to say, get real. Get real about your dreams. Do something about them. And if you agree to at least a small extent that your love must be a little more grounded, that it would be good to apply a little determination and a little willpower to the matter at hand, that's what will help move the thing forward. And that's what the lyrics then say indicate as a direct action in the lyrics that follow. It says, Jenny will love me, I'm sure of it now, because I'm putting out some energy. Did she not smile when I gave her that cow? So we've done this act of giving. We've actually given what in that time would be an expensive present to this person, Jenny, that we're trying to woo. But now, unfortunately for us, the ego, which is here at the medulla, and that's this determination and willpower, is bringing energy up from the throat chakra toward the spiritual eye, where we have a seat of will and determination there. The ego here is still looking for some reinforcements of its fantasies, affirming its desire by saying, well, I tried something and look, I got a smile, so I'm really sure that Jenny loves me now, irrespective of the fact, as Ananda points out, that any country girl would welcome the gift of an expensive cow in this case. And so in the song here, we've made that act, we've gotten I'm sure of it now, which really brings us to affirming something even more strongly. And what happens there is that the energy gets brought forward to the spiritual eye when we say, soon we'll be one. That sense of unity, like two peas in a pod, envied by men but united by God. And see, there's a little trick here where the thought of God has come into it to bring that energy forward and not allowing it to sit in idle dreaminess, but bringing it forward to this perspective. Now, even though you may still be dwelling on a fantasy at this point, what's happened is that this higher self, by kicking you into a little bit of action, has played a trick on you. It's brought the energy up from the heart, through the throat, past the medulla, where, from the heart and the throat where it can still turn downward, past the medulla where it can get stuck in ego, forward here to the spiritual eye. And in doing so, you start to begin to realize little by little that it's, you start to see your own fantasies going on. You start to see your own delusions, and you start seeing that, it's not necessarily Jenny that you're seeking, but rather that sense of expansive love and union by God, as the lyrics say, and possibly even with God. And that's the perspective you get here. So the higher self is accomplishing its goal of changing your consciousness, not by demolishing your innocent delusions of Jenny will love me and I see all these signs and wonders around me, because there was positive intent from the beginning about seeing that love and seeing beauty everywhere. These are good things. But the higher self has played a trick by pulling the energy up just enough, by getting you to act, to where you're up here at the spiritual eye and you can start to see your own delusions for yourself. And that's why we now go through the song again, but this time we're less personally involved and more of an observer of our own follies, right? And so you can see now, once you do this, you say, oh, look how silly it was to believe in all these signs and wonders around me, and you just start to laugh at yourself. And it's like you start to find yourself in a P.G. Wodehouse story, able to delight in the comedy of everything, and to see that all your so-called aspirations weren't necessarily wrong. They were just limited and needed to expand into something a little higher. So going through the first and second verses again, you see that even though Jenny herself might not be showing any signs, she's not actually giving you signals that all of your hopes are actually valid. Your expansive love brings you a little surprise, and that is that by seeing and loving all the beauty around you, looking for those signs, you begin to draw the love and beauty out of the world itself. As in like the blooming of the heather that the first verse talks about. And so it's here you begin to realize that it's not specifically Jenny's love that's really all that important. It's that you begin to feel love coming to you from all life, from everything around you. And that's when we hear another melodic interlude here. And let me find that, because it's, I think it's right here. You hear the interlude again, but this time it's played on a different, brighter, I think even a higher horn, as if to signify that sense of delight. And the melody here is like feeling all that love that you've put out being reflected back to you from all of those things in the world. And it. And so then as we go through the third verse again, our expansive love that's been grounded in the higher self and grounded in the perception from the spiritual eye leads us to discover that, it's not that we need Jenny's love or even the world's love. It's that God is the one who's loving us, and not that God will love us, like Jenny will love me as an affirmation, but we realize that God does love us right here in the present, in the here and now, and that Jenny was just a channel through which God awakened your own love and helped it then expand beyond the specific Jenny to see Jenny in everything. And so put simply, this song, Jenny Will Love Me, helps transform that particular and personal and selfish love into expansive universal love, which also helps them to overcome the disappointment that usually, or I might say inevitably, arises from such personal attachments. And it also helps to overcome the idea that no one will love me, to that sense that everything loves me because God is in everything and God loves me. And that overcomes the negative quality also of loneliness. And then by keeping the heart's energy moving upwards past the throat chakra, it also overcomes doubt, which is a negative quality of the throat chakra when, again, dreaminess goes too long and you start to see that, well, stuff's really not happening, and so you start to doubt that this upward movement was really the right thing. And so overcoming doubt is an important aspect of this song, and that's what Kriyananda assigns this song to in Day 17 of Secrets of Emotional Healing. It's the same saying as we use for Emerald Isle. And he says the secret of overcoming doubt is to concentrate on your reasons for gratitude to life and not focus on all those things which seem to you imperfect, like you might say unrequited love. And he continued the saying, he says, love other people, love truth, just love. Fill your heart with generous sentiments, and doubts will flee like shadows before the sunrise. And as the song indicates, it's important to act, to put out energy to overcome that wishful thinking, or what you might call wistful hopefulness. Action is what always turns dreams into reality, or at least turns them into clarity, which in the case of the song Jenny Will Love Me is a clarity that the specific thought of Jenny will love me can be clarified into, again, of course I'm loved, because Jenny is just one potential channel for God, and God loves me through many channels. And now with the second track, we'll enjoy the instrumental recording of Jenny Will Love Me from the Mystic Harp albums.